So when Jenny and I were doing student ministry back 100 years ago, there was a young woman that we had allowed to come and stay with us, stay with our family. She was, I don't remember, freshman, sophomore in high school. She had gotten into some trouble and she wasn't able to go home. So the only two rules that we had placed on her was, one, you got to let us know where you are, and two, you got to be home on time. Within a week, the rules were broken twice. On the second time, we had to call her probation officer. Sometimes we don't see the value in things that we are given. My name is Jim. I'm one of the pastors here on staff at New Hope Church. In this video, we are going to continue the discussion that we've been working through and having the kind of rest that God gives us versus the kind of rest that we provide ourselves. So stay tuned. So we've been working through Matthew chapter 11, verses 25 through 30. Last week we talked about learning from Jesus how he found rest. Now, if you think your life is stressful, try being the Savior of the world. Jesus was still able to find rest through his obedience to God, his Father. Why? Because the more we do things the way God has taught us to do, the less internal conflict that we are going to live with and the more peace that we're going to be living in. So, we've each been given the opportunity to live a life of peace and joy. God promises it. We have been offered a relationship with God that a God that is crazy in love with us. He is. This God who loves us walked the earth completely human in Jesus, which means he is able to relate to us completely with everything that we will ever go through. Further, he has promised over and over that he will never leave us. He will never turn his back on us. If a separation is to occur between us and God, it's going to be because we chose to walk away. We chose to put our focus on someone or something else. Now, God gives us the freedom to choose to live under our own power if we want to, providing for ourselves instead of learning to live in the contentment and the resources that God gives to us. In Matthew 11:29, Jesus tells us to learn from him how to rest because he is gentle and humble in heart. He tells us that we will find rest for our souls. This is quite a promise. I've been a pastor for a long time, and I promise you there are lots and lots of believers that are not living with the kind of peace and rest that Jesus is offering here. A lot of people miss it. I remember when my kids were in school, we would hide Easter eggs and Easter baskets outside in the play yard. Well, one year I connected my daughter Michaela's Easter basket to the flagpole, and I ran it up the flagpole, and it was 15 feet in the air. And she walked past that flagpole, I don't know how many times, and to where we were saying, getting warmer, nope, getting colder, getting warmer, getting colder. And we had so much fun watching her not find the basket because we knew where it was, but she did not because we hid it. I don't believe that this is the way that God is, that he hides peace and rest. And he's, sitting back saying, that we'll just see if they find it now. That's not the God that we worship. All we have to be willing to do is accept the gift that he's given to us, and he keeps it on the bottom shelf. It's not for us to have to climb up and try to go through all of these different things to try to get to it. He keeps it on the lower shelf for us to be able to have access to, if we are willing to accept what he gives to us. We have to be willing to live obediently as God tells us to live. If we do this, Jesus says here, you will have rest for your souls. Now, this begins with some soul searching. What are your priorities? Because our priorities are the things in our lives that get our time, our attention, and our behavior. Are your priorities in line with obedience to God? Jesus said the greatest commandment is to love God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind. How are you doing with this greatest commandment? Remember, what we say our priorities are doesn't matter. Our actions reveal what our true priorities are. So you might say, Jim, are you asking me to read my Bible for 3 hours every day and pray for 3 hours every day, go to church every week and multiple times through the week? To love God with all our hearts, all our souls, all our minds means to examine all of our priorities through the lenses of obedience. Is my relationship with God my top priority when I'm at home? Is my relationship with God my top priority while I'm at work, while I'm with my friends? What kind of time am I giving to God throughout the day? Is He getting time? Is He getting my attention? Is He getting my behavior? So often, people who have that tight relationship with God will talk about what happens to them when they aren't getting their time with God. They feel distant. They feel off throughout the day. They're short-tempered. They're more easily frustrated, more quickly run down. God desires to have a hand in every single aspect of our lives. If you allow Him that kind of access, you will find more rest and more joy, more peace, and more contentment in your life. He says His work is easy and His burden is light. We just have to choose to do things the way that He tells us to do them. And if we do that, our life doesn't mean that life's going to be easy and it's a piece of cake. But He promises things like peace, things like love, things like contentment. He promises those things, even if we're choosing to live the way that He has called us to live. Now, if you are missing out on your intimacy with God, it's time to hit that reset button, wherever that is in you, and allow His peace and rest to come back in, because we're choosing to do things the way that He has called us to do things. If we don't, and we should not take the rest that He's offering for granted. It's a gift. It's something that He blesses us with. So, hope you're able to start working through that this week. Start thinking back through your priorities. Are you living in obedience to God through your priorities so that you can start to live into some of that rest that He promises? Start doing that this week, and I will look forward to seeing you at some time in the next week or so. Take care, everybody.